Today we are going to explain the 2024 fantasy movie called The Red One. So sit tight and take care. The movie begins 30 years earlier, where we see a young Jack O'Malley is at a family Christmas party. He brings his cousins and shows them that their parents and not Santa Claus gave them presents at Christmas. Jack is scolded for his actions by his Uncle Rick. Movie then shifts to present day, where we see Jack becomes an expert tracker. He sneaks through the security around a mall by setting a Christmas tree on fire as a distraction before going inside and planting a device. Then we see him stealing candy from a baby. But in the mall we see Red One, also known as Santa, is doing his yearly gig with his trusted bodyguard Callum Drift, who is the head of the ELF at the North Pole. He looks around the mall and is annoyed by the greedy shoppers. Callum sees one annoying influencer who interrupts a family being angry. He sends him away after much intimidation. Scene shifts and we see Jack in his apartment and was talking to his mysterious boss who gave him money to set the device in the mall. They pay him half of what they offered him and then promise to give him the rest when they would actually find the person they were looking for. On the other scene, we see Callum and Santa return to the North Pole, which is hidden by a magic force field. They greet Mrs. Claus. After that, Cal informs Santa that he is disillusioned with the holiday and intends to retire from his job. Santa tries to console him, assuring him that it's still worth it. Later, they notice a group of mercenaries breaks through the force field and Callum sees that the lights in Santa's tower are flickering. He then decides to investigate and heads to Santa's room only to find it empty. Callum identifies the culprits and pursues them across the North Pole on a snowmobile, but he fails to catch up before they manage to kidnap Santa. Zoe Harlow, who is the director of Mora, also known as the Mythological Oversight and Restoration Authority, reaches out to the North Pole after learning about the situation. She informs Callum that they must contact an expert tracker called the Wolf because they have only 24 hours before Christmas Eve. The next scene, we see Olivia, the ex-girlfriend of Jack, contact him because their son Dylan got into trouble in school. He tried to hack into the school's PA system but got in trouble after a friend reported him. Jack scolds Dylan not for committing the crime. Dylan mentions he has a concert that evening but says he doesn't care if Jack attends. Jack feels some regret for not being a good father. When Jack arrives at his apartment, he is confronted by a team of North Pole mercenaries. He fends him off until Zoe subdues him and takes him back to the North Pole. There, Jack is confronted by Callum and his giant polar bear bodyguard Garcia. Jack thought he gets into trouble for setting the tracker at the mall and says he was hired to do the tracking without knowing the details of the job and didn't even know the target. They laugh and explain him the whole story. After knowing Santa is kidnapped, he didn't believe at first, but Zoe told him that all the mythological creatures that were supposedly fictional are in fact real. During the conversation, Jack noticed a headless horseman arriving at that place. Scene shifts and we see Santa wakes up in a cell and sees his captor, who is actually a young woman. She hooks Santa up to a machine that siphons off his power to charge her weapon, which is a magic snow globe prison called a glaskafig. Back in the North Pole, Callum and Jack form up an alliance to rescue Santa and save Christmas. They start by going through a portal in a toy store and growing a toy car into their ride. They travel to Aruba, where they track down Ted, the man who arranged the deal between Jack and the villain. Ted's henchmen attack them, but Callum uses his ability to shrink and grow to take on Ted's henchmen. Later, they confront Ted and discover that the villain is a Christmas witch called Gryla. But little did they know, whenever someone uttered her name, she could hear whoever calling her name. When Jack unintentionally says her name, Gryla uses Ted as a medium to communicate with Callum, warning that she plans to punish everyone on Santa's naughty list. Moments later, an ice cream truck emerges from the ocean, releasing 3 gigantic monstrous snowmen that attack Jack and Callum. The duo fights back, but the snowmen continuously reassemble themselves. Callum destroys the first one by knocking off its carrot nose. Jack defeats the second by throwing a propane tank onto a lit grill and tossing a liquor bottle to ignite an explosion. As the third snowman attempts to trap Jack in a frozen pool, Callum quickly removes its nose, defeating it as well. Unfortunately, Ted has been frozen and is unable to share any further information. Zoe joins the group, and Callum theorizes that Santa's estranged brother might be collaborating with Gryla. He explains that Mora lacks the jurisdiction to enter the brothers' lair, but he and Jack plan to sneak in covertly. The scene shifts, and we see Gryla test the Glaskafig on a man named Aaron Abel, who gets trapped inside the globe upon touching it. However, when the globe fails to return to her, Gryla grows frustrated and decides to alter her plans. Jack receives a call from Olivia, who scolds him for not intending to attend Dylan's concert. Later, Jack talks about Dylan, with Callum admitting that he hasn't always been the best father to his son. The duo arrive at the lair of Santa's brother, who turns out to be none other than Krampus. Jack accidentally exposes their presence and alert Krampus by attempting to steal a piece of gold from the lair. They are captured and taken to meet Krampus. Callum tries to reason with him, explaining the situation and urging him to help his brother. Krampus doesn't care and plans to keep Callum as a prisoner until Jack challenges Krampus to play a Krampusklap with Callum, which involves enduring a powerful slap from Krampus. Callum keeps trying to appeal to Krampus's better nature, but Krampus just smacks Callum so hard that he goes flying. Before Callum goes again, Jack activates an arm brace on Callum that lets him deliver a huge smack to Krampus, allowing Jack and Callum to run. Callum commends Jack for his good idea. When they return to their car, they get a package from Gryla, but he didn't want to open it. Shortly after, Jack receives a video call from Dylan, who is frustrated that Jack missed his concert and reveals he received his own package containing the Glaskafig. When Dylan touches the globe, he is teleported away. With no other option, Jack grabs his own globe to follow Dylan while Callum sets out to track them down. Jack and Dylan find themselves in Gryla's lair, where she boasts about the success of the Glaskafigs. After she departs, Jack takes the opportunity to apologize to Dylan for his shortcomings as a father. Dylan forgives him, and Jack sees his naughty status, enabling them to grow and break free from the globes. Zoe had placed a tracker on Jack earlier, so Callum discovers that he and Dylan are at the North Pole, meaning Gryla never actually took Santa from there. They soon realize that Gryla's shape-shifting goons have infiltrated the North Pole disguised as Mrs. Claus and other guards. Callum finds Jack and Dylan, and they team up with Zoe. They realize Gryla's plan to use Santa to power his sleigh and distribute the globes worldwide, imprisoning anyone she deems naughty. The heroes determine to stop her, freeing Mrs. Claus, Garcia, and others along the way. Gryla begins to leave the North Pole, but Callum and Jack catch up to her sleigh. They engage in a battle as they race across a ramp, and Jack manages to detach the reindeer from the sleigh, causing it to stop flying and sending Gryla tumbling over the edge. Callum attempts to wake up Santa, but Gryla reappears in her true form as a massive, grotesque ogre. She readies to attack the heroes until Krampus arrives in his own sleigh to lend a hand. Krampus fights back, but Gryla throws him around. As Santa regains consciousness, he summons his reindeer to strike Gryla, knocking her into the air until she crashes into her pile of globes, trapping her inside one. Zoe takes her into custody. Everyone rushes to prepare Santa for his mission. Callum, Jack, and Dylan join him as they travel around the world, watching Santa deliver presents and spread joy to children everywhere. Callum observes Jack and Dylan bonding, even catching a glimpse of Jack's inner child. This moment convinces Santa that Callum has changed his mind about retiring. With that, Santa flies them all back home. Movie ends here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.